Welcome to Steph's podcast. Thank you so much for listening in every single week. As you guys know, I have a different guest who will come on the show and talk about all things ADU, all things multifamily, all things real estate investment strategies. And I'm very selective of who I have on. These are very highly vetted individuals, highly experienced people who have a lot of knowledge and a lot of value to bring to you guys every single week. If you have someone who you think might be a good fit for the show, make sure you guys reach out to me. And another way to stay connected, I know that some of you guys are listening in every single week on the podcast, and you may not know that I do have my active YouTube channel where I'm always sharing other sorts of tips and tricks on what I'm actively doing on myself as an ADU strategist and consultant and investor. And then also, make sure you guys reach out and follow me on Instagram, Steph Sells ADU. I constantly have different content on there showcasing a lot of what the strategies that we're talking about on this podcast, whether it's midterm, ADUs, multifamily, acquisitions, you name it, just property management, mom life, all the things. Make sure you guys follow me on there so we can continue to cultivate this relationship. Now enjoy this episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. This is episode 81, and today we have a very special guest. I say that every week, but this person is very near and dear to my heart. We're practically family. We're sisters, soul sisters, and we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be touching on midterm rentals, short-term rental management. We're going to give you guys lots of insights because Vianey Garai, who's with us today, has a lot of experience when it comes to management. And that's one topic that a lot of people overlook when it comes to investing or building ADUs. Everybody is hyped around, the build out and the buying process and the investment and the returns. But this is what really helps you get to maximize your returns is the management side of things, right? So today we have, like I said, a very special guest, Vianey Garai, and we're going to kick it off. So welcome to episode 81.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Vianey Garai. And me and Stephanie met, almost 2 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
She actually helped me purchase my second home. And she was like we always have like the necessity of someone or something. And she was that stranger that I needed to guide me and help me. And although she's in Miami and I'm in California, she did the most amazing job. Like I trusted her and she went above and beyond. And since then I trusted her blindly, and I still do, because since the get-go, she showed me like the type of person and the integrity and the type of culture that she creates for her business. And we haven't let go since.
Yeah. And on top of all of that, I mean, we also have like so many things in common. You were going through a tough time, right? I've been there too. Going through divorce is never easy because it's an emotional process. And the way you did it, I mean, I still don't know how, you and I have talked about like, how have you even processed that? It's going to, it takes time to digest everything, but she was going through a divorce while we were looking for a house. And she was like, I want this house. And I did everything that I could to make sure we got it. We got our lender. It was honestly like out of a movie. It was a ticking time bomb. Everything really aligned for her. So I was like, okay, that house is yours no matter what. And we made it happen. And then, going back and forth from Miami to LA, I so happened to be there that same week that we were going to close because we weren't even sure if we were or not. Like we were it was the last, at the last hour, I was like, hey, I'm going to be in town. And when we met in person, I mean, I felt like we already knew each other because we had literally been talking every day for the last 60 days almost, right? Before that. And it was, just working together as a team, but coaching her through it because it's tough. Like when you don't have guidance, you don't have support, you're making big decisions and investing, right? Buying a property with your kids, you're making all the decisions now. And so it's nice to have somebody there for comfort and support. And I was that person for that time. And now, I feel like we're there for each other. I mean, Vianey basically runs the 8 units that we have in Hermosa Beach. And that came about really nice too through one of our other mutual friends who, was interested in management services. And when I got to know Vianey a lot more, I was like, wow, she really has a lot of management experience. And so before we get to the point on showing you guys more insights on how the Hermosa Beach properties came about, I wanted you guys to kind of hear more about Vianey's background, right? Because she's managed, I'd say, what, like over 75 units at a time? I
Time.
mean, tell people, like, how did you even tap
I,
into
I,
that business?
I look back and it was supposed to be a summer gig, right? I had a friend approach me that, her business was outgrowing her, which is great. She was taking on more and more doors. Her and her husband were taking on more and more properties. And, he was a short-term midterm rental guru, and he was focusing on, like, all of that. And she's like, I need boots on the ground, and I trust you, and I need you to help me with the logistic parts of it. And I was like, she's like, I heard you're not going to have, I used to be an educator, so you're not going to teach during summer. Are you interested in like a little summer gig? And I was like, can I bring my kids? She's like, sure, you could bring your kids, and there's pools at the properties and whatnot. Like, fine. So then, she took me on board, and little by little, sweat equity, learning the ins and outs. And it was just supposed to be a summer thing. And then summer ended, and I said, okay, I'm going back to my job. And they're like, "Mm-mm." And I'm like, well, you don't have enough to, for me to walk away from a career. They're like, what if we introduce you to other clients and give you like full-time work? One client, one friend turned into 7 to 9 clients at a time. Just word of
Wow.
mouth, introducing me, and learning everything that they would throw at me. And this was not education, this was a whole different venture. And just knowing that they were trusting me with not only like their properties and their business and their livelihood, is also became like understanding like a lot of people um that work in the same space, dependent on everything to flow properly. And we'll get more
Mhm.
into that. The
Yeah.
flow, the teamwork, what it actually takes to have a a successful operation, for a short term, midterm, long term. Any property, you can't just, be hands off and let it run itself. No, you need a team, you need the people, and understanding like my importance, my one person can, and the importance of making sure everything flows, because
Because
x
it's
amount,
a domino effect, right?
x
Whatever,
amount of people
you
depend
don't
on
do,
that. Mhm.
yeah, and then vice versa too. Everybody plays a
Yeah,
small, like, important role
yeah.
throughout the process.
And trusting and learning trust, and learning that it was a learning process. It was something, and it taught me so many things in and out of the business. It taught me, things that I had never even, it wasn't my space. It wasn't something that I was
Right.
even interested in. So having someone trust me and needing me to, my help turned into like a whole different life, a whole different lifestyle, And the best part was implementing and teaching other people how to do it, teaching them how to do it, and then backing off and letting them have, okay, I'll teach you how to do this so you have an income for your family. That was the best part of it,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
because I know what it did for my family, and I know what
yeah.
it'll continue to do for theirs. So that was the
Mhm.
most beautiful thing, is like step, and also like, I mentioned 7 to 9 clients. And sometimes it's like you're there, you're supporting them, you're helping them, you're working for them. And then there's
Mhm.
times where it's like, you get to a point and it's like everything's flowing amazingly, but it's like, although everything's going wonderfully, you have to know when to step away, when you outgrow people, when you outgrow clients, and or when
Mhm.
they outgrow you, or when you set up such an amazing team and it's like it's their turn. Now it's time for me to go venture into this new 8 unit Hermosa Beach,
Yeah, and one that you took on yourself, right? Like, that's, I think, you putting in the work and starting off as a summer gig. And I didn't even know about the educational background, so you have to tell me more offline. But starting off, as a summer gig, and then I know like how busy you got after that. You've basically put in the work for other people and helped build their business. done so much that when the 8 units came about in Hermosa Beach, I was like, you need to just take this on. Like, let's do this together. So part of the agreement there was I would do most of the marketing and, showcase that with you guys. And I think, that journey alone has taught you so much. Like, you and I have had offline conversations and how much growth you've had, because I feel like now it's like your moment to shine. Right. And like you said, the beauty of it is now that you're going to basically build your own business, then now you can help others. And a lot of the people that you help too, that you've built relationships with, is those boots on the ground people that we don't really think about, like your cleaners, your subcontractors, all of our Latino community, that many times they need that extra help and they really are there to make these things run. Like I was just talking to somebody earlier today. He's like, hey, do you have a good cleaner? Because we're moving in on the 30th and I need somebody 2 days before. I'm like, I don't really know a good cleaning company in Lake Elsinore, but that's the power of knowing. If you do know of somebody, let me know. But
I
that's the key right there. Like, how did you build out the team before we talk about the Hermosa Beach property? How did you build your boots on the ground? Was it like through Yelp or word of mouth or las comadres? Like where?
I was there, boots on the ground. I ran operations on the ground, right? And they would send these cleaners, example, the housekeeping or the maintenance or the plumbers, and they would send them, and it's like, you'll find her somewhere in the building. So they would find me and they're like, oh, we're here to do X amount job, right? We're going to do this. We have no idea where anything's at, what door we're servicing, who do we contact, how to do it. And I found myself like these companies that we would hire as, to send us, housekeepers, example, they would send us housekeepers and they would send them blindly. So of course, I'd be like, I would guide them. This is what you do. This is what you need for your turn. These are the supplies that go in. And then they're like, how do we do it? So I found myself taking people, training, teaching them and guiding them. And then I would prepare them and they'd be like on a roll, right? And I was like, wait a minute, I'm managing, staff and teams and people that do not work for me, that do not, so then I started, asking them, how much do they pay you? And that was like, the saddest part when I found out like they're paying you that much. Okay, so how about you work directly for us, cut them out, you work directly for us, trust that you'll always have work here, think about it, and, there's nothing else. Just think about it. And if not, it's fine. You could just keep working for the same company. They'll keep sending you. But then it was kind of like I was managing and running a company that would just send their people to us. And it's like, it was impersonal. There was no connection. They were just, like a staffing agency. They would get people and them blindly, and it was just kind of like, these people need more guidance. People need to feel like they belong to a team or build their own team or build their own companies, and independent. They need to be independent. So then you start building. They respect you because you give them that option, and then they just start working and they become independent. And then they're like, can I bring so-and-so? Or I have a friend that needs work. And, and then once they have pride in what they do and that freedom to grow and to be able to be in charge of their own, income, their loyalty comes with it automatically. And that's the most important thing. And then just word of mouth.
I think it's definitely the most important thing when it comes to running operations, because most people assume that when you book something, it just automatically like gets cleaned on its own. And when things aren't working well, they just automatically get fixed, right? And that's not how it goes. I mean, you deal with everything on the back end. So now we could talk to people about the 8 units. So the 8 units did not come about as easily. I mean, Vianey really had to put in the work, but luckily she has the experience. So I think that definitely helped, but even then, I mean, talk about the process of the 8 units. They were all vacant. They were all sitting vacant for a long time. Great location by the beach, beautiful properties, but they were just like vacant. And so these are like 8 units spread out through Hermosa, and you helped with the build out, you helped with the management. I mean, you're still running them now, but talk to people about the importance of all of those steps, right? That it takes to prep the house. It's not just here's my key, go manage the property for me
Yeah.
and put it up on a few sites and hope that and pray that it books, right? There's a lot of strategy that goes behind it from the moment you see the property, from the build out, prior to the build out, the actual work that needed to get done, right? Then the build out, and then the design, like everything is very calculated strategy. And you were able to do an amazing job. We're going to show actually pictures and videos for some of the clips because I've posted them on Instagram and everything and kind of shared the journey. But it would be dope for people to hear it from you because you ran the whole thing.
Yes. When you mentioned the eight units, we went out first. We went out and
Mhm.
we took a look and we had to assess, like, they had been sitting for a long time. So when a property sits for a long time, things stop working properly. So
Right.
you have to do a walkthrough, a full inspection of like the property, what's needed, assess like, okay, in reality, it needs all of this done before we can even consider operating out of here. The
Mhm.
plumbing, the handyman work, and do we have? Luckily, those 8 doors came. We've grandfathered a handyman, so
Mhm. Mhm.
that was a blessing of it, of its own. Um, and then assessing, okay, they're furnished. Some were furnished, but the
Right.
furniture was like bad, outdated, unsanitary. So we had
Mhm.
to decide, like, even the artwork, like what artwork, what can we use, what can we go with, and what kind of clients are we gonna, focus or target. So once we
Right.
assess that, it's like make list and inventory, and you know who's going to be in charge of what, and let's move real fast. One of the units actually still had a tenant, so we had to work around that also. Long-term
Okay.
tenant that we had to wait, and once they were out, then we went in and took care of that one, and then a longer midterm stay that's had been staying there for many years off and on. So we had to kind of like see how that went, and it was a learning experience. It was awesome, learning all of that as we went, assessing like, okay, we know the location, we know where they're all at, we know what we have to do to get them, operate out of them. Um, the budget, you know, coming
Oh my
to
gosh. Yes.
Miami.
Let's talk about the budget.
Yes,
So
the
once
budget.
luckily, I don't think most properties will need as much work as those 8 units. Hopefully, if you're buying a property and you're thinking of doing midterm rental or whatever, it's in much better condition. But once you were able to get past the handyman work, and
Mhm.
now the old furniture is out. Now you got the new design that comes into play. You also did a great job, with the visuals and just the design for it, because when we talk about strategy, you didn't just randomly pick design, right? Design ideas for each unit. It was strategic. If the units are near the beach, it would be, you know, ideal that you have beach decor,
Yeah.
beach colors, that you cater to that beach lifestyle, right? Especially in Hermosa Beach, you got a lot of surfers. So I love how you incorporated that into it. But I remember when we were going through that phase, budget was a huge conversation that most people overlook. So, what would you say is like an estimated budget for a, design slash furnishing of a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom? Like, do you have some price estimates on, what that would look like? Maybe we could use those as an example, more or less.
Um, those is just a little bit different because we did end up keeping large
Right.
pieces.
Yeah, we did.
The
Yeah. Mhm.
hallway labor was that's what people have to also consider if you buy a home and it has all this stuff. The hallway labor, I had no idea what that even was. You know,
Mm.
it's a
Yeah,
whole
and that can be expensive too.
a whole other crew. So it just depends on like the size, the style, and also like what clientele you want to
Cater to.
yeah. And like I said, it's all about the team, right? It's all about, and again, the number, right? It can be anywhere between, like, we've had clients that we do jobs, 10, 15,000, very low budget, very simple, just the necessities, just like very dorm like simple. Some people like that whole IKEA vibe, right? Some people
Right.
want a little bit more, a little bit, they want to price their stays a little bit higher. So they need to attract that. They need to provide
Right.
something special, and then that's when okay, add another five, add another five. Like, if you want to
I
have
don't
like
know.
a
Yeah.
pool table in the middle of your living room, or it just depends on what the client wants. And it's also like finding like the people to do it for you, right? Like the design team, the
Right.
handyman team. Like, I cannot put a TV up for if my life depended on it, right?
Right. Right.
It's having a team that's going to be like, we're going to go in on this day. They're going to give us keys on Monday. We have to be done and ready and live to host by Thursday so we can get in the weekend, right? We have to do
Yeah,
that.
I remember the timing of it, and I remember one of the last units that was ready. You were sending me pictures and videos, and I was like, "You did not build this out in 2 days." And you were
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, I was here," and I was like,
it was,
"What?" So
actually an
the
ADU.
timing of it is crazy.
It
Yeah.
was an ADU, and I was already like, I felt
Hmm.
like I was losing, like all things, you start losing the adrenaline, the excitement, and
Momentum.
the
Hmm.
last momentum. And I just, talked to my team, and I was like, we just have to do this. We have to finish this today. And in 2 days, we put up wallpaper. We got last minute furniture switches, and, did last minute, things, and switched artwork around and made it work. Got the linen going and fully stocked, fully sanitized and cleaned. And we were live. I was like, no more. We got to get this done. Like, come on.
Right. Right.
We've already done 7 with one more. Let's go.
Yeah, time is money, right? And I think that's very important too,
Yeah.
because when you try to cut corners, whether it's through the build out or the furnishing or the repairs that need to get done, you're going to end up losing money in the long run because, it happens even with the ADU build outs. Some people call me and they want to go with a contractor who's charging them very, cheap,
Yeah.
and then they call me back 6 months later because that same contractor hasn't answered or the architect hasn't done anything for the last year. So now it's going to cost you more, double, to do it again with somebody else. Whereas if you were to do it the first time around with the right team of people, I mean, speed really helps build momentum. So I totally get you on that because I'm the same way. Like if I lose momentum, I'm like, that's what really keeps everything in motion, right? In drive mode. And so the speed is really important when it comes to momentum.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to making money, like money, really likes speed. So you got to move things quickly. And that goes with everything on the back end. I mean, when you do these turnovers, what does that like process look like? And like how efficient do you have to be between bookings and how do you coordinate everything?
Once we're live and operating, it's the build, it takes a certain amount of team, right? The handyman, the designers, and um, the budget and the client. It's a lot of conversation with that group of that team. Once we
Hmm.
get live and going, we no longer need a designer to tell us how to do a bed. So we move
Right.
on to give these people now their job. The housekeepers are literally like the ones that run this business, that run these types of businesses.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so you have to also be on top of like your calendars, your check-ins and check-outs. If you do have everything on automation, make sure that um, everything and everyone's calendar is syncing properly. You can't just like, oh, hands off. I put everything on automation. No, you have to make sure that everyone's scheduled in. For example, if we have checkouts today, who's scheduled to have them turned, who's scheduled to have them cleaned. And how does that process? You asked me how that process is. Our checkouts are 11 o'clock. So everyone that's working that day, or the cleaner that's working that day, is scheduled to 11 o'clock, the address where they're supposed to be. We do have a full storage, storage unit where they go and they pull, their linen, they pull their supplies, their consumables. We provide coffee, shampoo, conditioner, all the things,
All the
every
essentials.
all the essentials. So they stock up, the toiletries and all of that stuff, and they take
And
it
so
with.
the cleaning company isn't just cleaning. What are they called? Are they like, because they're not just cleaning, they're actually like restocking basically and cleaning, right?
Yeah.
You have to also train them for that. But is there like extra fees, or are these cleaners that specialized? I don't know if there's different cleaners within the cleaning industry. You know what I mean? Like, is a cleaner that cleans hotels different than a cleaner that does, short term, or that's just cleaning your house?
There
Just
is.
like,
Residential cleaning is very different. It's much more laborious to clean a residence because
right,
we have a lot of stuff in our homes. We have a lot of trinkets, a lot of things that need to be moved and respected, and
right.
that people are emotionally connected to certain items and stuff. So you need to be mindful. And certain people don't like certain products or certain cleaning solutions. All of that. When it comes to short-term rentals or midterm rentals, or even long-term rentals, it's like that we give them pictures. We know what the listing is supposed to look like. Everything
Mm.
left there, it needs to be removed. No personal items, no jackets in the closets, no food in the fridge. Everything gets tossed out and clean. It's like you're literally wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. And it's like
And they know it needs to look exactly like the pictures.
like that. And then our team provides us with pictures at the end of their turn. So if they go in and something's damaged, they take pictures, we assess that. Okay, let's move forward. They finish the turn, and it's like they send us pictures, and it's beautiful because they look just like the listing. It's like with
Mm.
the board, bed made with the same throws and the pillows and all the things, and it looks like the pictures. So when the guests come in, oh, this is what I rented. This is what I imagined it to look like. So it's
Yeah,
like,
because that's exactly what you want them to say, right? Because I think the difference between long-term rental management and midterm slash short-term is you're more of the hospitality business than a landlord. You're not just, giving them the lease and they pay you every month. This is more of an experience. So we were just talking about this offline. Like, if they have a good experience, then they're going to want to come back. And
yeah.
so if you can have repeat clients that give you good reviews and it kind of speaks for itself, it's just like business in general, right? I would love to just keep getting referrals for business, whether it's real estate or ADU consulting or midterm rental management. I would prefer them to be referrals because the trust is there. They've had a good experience, or somebody, has had a good experience. I mean, even with you, when we worked together on your purchase, you were referred by another client who had a good experience, and that's how we ended up working together. Yeah, so building a referral business is where it's at. Yeah.
It's the experience that you provide people, and sometimes when I'm training new cleaners, or when we're sitting down and we're like, well, how can we better this, or the unit needs a little bit more love, and we sit down and we talk about, okay, let's schedule in a deep clean, because we always want to provide that experience to someone. We always want to provide five-star service, five-star service, because if our listing and their experience is a 5-star, they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna recommend it, and we're
Right.
all gonna have work, right?
And you also become a super host, and you're also like, you're just filtered up to the top when you really have that customer experience. And what I think is cool is it's really hard to find midterm slash short term property management companies. I mean, property management companies in general are hard to find, like good ones, but
Yeah,
let alone midterm and short term. And I think what's cool is like you have the experience, plus you have that instinct and that intuition to know, like, okay, this property needs this type of love, or we need to add this to the property so it performs better. Because sometimes, even for example, like the 8 units, the owner of the 8 units isn't brainstorming about how his units should be better and be performing better, right?
no,
Like,
it's
he's
just
not thinking about that. He's not. And that's most people. Like, they're busy with life and work and kids and family and etc., right? They're not thinking about it. They're expecting, if you're going to manage my units, I would hope that you also put some proactive thinking into how it's going to be better, not just manage it to put a band-aid on it and like keep it running, but okay, we have it running, it's running great, how can we make it even better? Because the more returns you give to your investor, the more it speaks for itself, and then they start referring, which, now it takes me like to what you and I were talking about is what are some of the things that you want to focus on like this year, now that you've pretty much mastered the 8 units, you got a couple other units you're working on pretty much, so all through SoCal, right? LA, like from LA to San Diego, you've built these solid like boots on the ground teams. Are you like, what's the next step for you? I
Um,
already know, but you got to put it out there.
now that we have everything, going smoothly and not only at Hermosa, but like you said, all across SoCal, and our clients are happy, and they're getting their return on their investment, and they see the type of work that we promised that we would provide.
Right,
Um, and we built that healthy and successful relationship with them. It's kind of like, okay, well, what's next? Our babies are doing good. What's next? Um, and we're kind of leaning and we're actively looking for to put our next move into like boutique hotel, boutique hotel or multifamily property where we can convert it into boutique hotel style experience. Because if you run an entire building and everybody on this side of the door and on that side of the door is all there for the same reason, to receive that experience, to they know what they're there for, they know what type of service, and we can also service a lot better if it's all in one location, all central. you
right,
know you can provide a much better, service and experience. And so that's our next goal, something cute, a little boutique hotel. We have a few ideas going, and a few properties that we're kind of like peeking into, and getting numbers and kind of knowing what we can do, and also understanding that not all areas and not all cities allow certain type of businesses. A lot of, and I'm sure
right.
that can be for another time. They are starting to
Well,
ban.
I know like short-term rentals has been a big topic. I mean, I see it everywhere on Instagram where they're like, oh, I saw one yesterday that Jesse posted like STRs on the seventh inning, STR is this, STR. There's like this fear around STR because it's being banned in so many cities. And I don't know if eventually it'll be, like banned everywhere. But that's why I think it's cool to have that flexibility between STR and MTR, because you could always pivot, right? The whole point is like have a backup plan. But what are some of those? Because if you're going to invest in boutique hotels, it would make sense to probably look at places that allow for short term, right? So what are
Allowing
some of those cities that are STR friendly?
some of the cities.
Hmm. That
Um,
are STR friendly.
do we want to say that?
Maybe we don't. Maybe we'll keep it a secret. But what I do want to put out there is the boutique idea. I am on board with that. I mean, Vianey and I have talked about also investing together or in partnerships with other people. We definitely would love to manage, anyone who has a boutique hotel or has a small multifamily, even, 5 to 10 units, 15 units. We're
Yeah.
talking small boutique hotels, small multifamily that we can convert to MTR and, like you said, set them up, give them a great experience. And depending on where it's at, you cater to that lifestyle or that person who's going to be attracted by by the units themselves. And with boutique hotels, I feel like that's the way that people are going to move towards, as far as like investing and midterms and short term, because a lot of hotels are slowly running out of business. Like that model is not really working. So these boutique hotels are easier to convert to create experiences. It's no longer just about the unit looking good and the pictures being great. It's like, what else are you offering? Are you offering pickleball courts, tennis courts, active lifestyle, wellness? Are you partnered up with the local coffee shop or the local surf club? Like depending on where it's at, it's not just the
And it
unit itself.
works.
Partnerships with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it works. We have clients that have all of those amenities and all of those experiences on their properties, and they do very well. So it's kind of like
Even, even apartment buildings for long term, right? Now it's you can't just get away with having office space and a gym. People want to know if you have a sauna, if you have, other like luxury amenities, because people also want to be able to have access to everything within the complex, or the area. It just make the itinerary for them before they even show up. Like that would be dope, right? And that's
yeah.
probably something we'll definitely brainstorm and maybe come up with in the next couple of months, because we have showcased the 8 units. It's a little bit difficult sometimes because of the bookings. Obviously, we want them booked, but if they're not booked, right, or if we can create some sort of gap so that we can showcase them, we probably will. We'll keep doing that, and then we also should partner up with, like, your local restaurants and just places, go-to spots for the visitors who do come and stay. And if anybody is interested in staying in any of the 8 units, reach out to us, and then we'll set you guys up so you guys can book it the right way. And yeah, and then we'll keep you guys updated. We're definitely going to have a part 2 and 3 and 4, because this is something that we're going to keep growing, right? I think we're going to definitely see the vision with the boutique hotel and then showcase what that will look like. So I'm putting it out in the universe for sure.
Excited, so
Yeah,
excited.
I'm so excited. Well, anything else you want to put out there and maybe share with people? Thank you so much for your time, because I know you're busy, always running around, boots on the ground. She's like, I don't sit behind the screen. I am out.
Yeah. So you get the screen time early, or you just take it with you.
Right, right.
um, just just always be open to learning. I, you
Yeah,
know, I turned what was supposed to be a summer gig to learning every and being able to do every job that, I eventually hired on someone else to do.
mhm,
So it's like you never know where, if you're fortunate and blessed enough that your business starts to outgrow your team, and you have to step in and do the jobs. Always be open to that. And I know it's something that a lot of people don't expect me I to say that, but I've done every single job that I've hired someone to do, and you never know when your team needs you. Always be open and able to step in, because they'll forever be loyal and grateful, because you need your team um, to run your business. I did it for clients, and I was grateful enough to learn as I grew with them. And
right.
now that I have my own team, I'm grateful for my team. I was grateful to be someone's team, and now I'm grateful to have, like it's amazing, and just
It's a
learn,
different feeling
learn.
for sure, because you've done every position, right? Like you've literally done it all.
Yeah,
So now having people that you delegated to and helping them grow their families, like, and a lot of it, is also Latinos who were helping just grow their business, grow their mindset. Like, our what we tell each other all the time, like, si se puede. And as long as you stay open-minded, and I think learning is a big one, staying creative, not being afraid to fail,
change.
just being open to change, because things will constantly change. But if you just do things fearlessly and confident that whatever you do and put out there is going to come about the right way. I mean, people really help you build a business. It's people. Like, people talk about systems and automation, and that's important, but it's people that run your business.
Because
It's
my
the people.
system and automation cannot go, make a bed right
Yeah.
now.
Right,
No.
right.
So it's like, oh, I hear all the time, oh, it's my systems, my SOP, my system of operation. It's like, well, who's doing the operation part?
Right,
Who's
right.
doing the logistics? Who's the one stocking your coffee and ordering your toilet paper? It's
Yeah,
like,
or cleaning, the hairs last minute so that you don't have a complaint. That was you, remember? Well, I did an open house for one of the units,
yes,
and we
like this.
actually had a guest who was gonna check in later that day. Remember, we'd only have a couple hours to showcase. So I did a full-on open house, had all the food out and everything. And we didn't have like a whole lot of people because I was mindful of the fact that, you were going to have a guest check in. So I was like, okay, we need to clean up, get out. And then Vianney shows up like 5-10 minutes before the open house is over. And I see her mopping, like just mopping on her way out. And I was like, girl, you are really dedicated and committed. And she's like, no, do you know that if this isn't clean, we get a bad review, it's over. And it's like those little small details. I was like, that's why she's where she's at, because it's those details, and it's not the automations who get it done, right? It really is the people and the type of people that are running the business. So I'm sure your team's going to grow with you. I hope that you double in size, and next year we're talking about the boutique hotel and how it's running. So
Yeah, so
fingers
excited.
crossed.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys on the next one. You guys can follow Vianney. We will share her info. And if you guys have any questions on midterm or short-term rental management, you can schedule a call with her. You can reach out to me and I'll connect you with her. And we can have, a conversation and see how we could help you with your units. So,
Yes.
all right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you found this episode informative and helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat about ADUs and help you with your journey, whether it's consulting, acquisitions, management, you name it. Just reach out to me and let's schedule a quick call. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. I'll be back next week with another great guest and more insights on all things ADU. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.